Alright, this is the Epoch Baldwin. It's a Gibson Baldwin electric guitar made between 2000 and 2016. This is the Gibson, the Epoch version. It's a lower price model. Probably sold for about $150 to $200 brand new. We're going to check it out. It's pretty messy right now. I think it's been sitting terrible for quite a while, but there's no markings on it as far as date or anything, or serial number or any of that kind of stuff. It's pretty beat up. We're going to clean it up, try to fix it up. Here's the Gibson logo on the back. It says Music Education Gibson Baldwin, which is the company that made it. Gibson bought this from Baldwin, I guess the rights or whatever, and they started manufacturing it on their own. We'll see what's going on. I know I already tested the electronics. The pickups work, front and back switches work, so the electronics are good. And we'll give it a once over. We'll check out the setup and see if we can't clean it up and get it to play well. Okay, truss rods underneath here. That probably needs an adjustment. I'm going to check all that stuff out now and see where we are. So we'll find out soon. Be back. All right, so we're going to go after this now with some simple green and see how well it'll clean up. I'm just getting started now. I sprayed some on here to see how it would go and see how the skunk comes off. It's pretty much a mess. I haven't even opened my toolbox yet. I did check the neck for straightness. It's got just a slight bow in it, which is what it should have, actually. So that might be fine. The neck may be just fine the way it is. We may not have to do much of anything to it. The fret's kind of sharp here on the ends. You may have to give them a little filing down so they don't kill your fingers in the process. So anyway, we'll do a little bit more cleaning and I'll be back to you. Bye. So I took one of those posts out. I'll take the other one out. And then we'll do a little bit more cleaning in behind here. And I've got new replacement ones that look a little better. We'll try to clean this thing up and make it as good as we can all the way around. Put the magic light on. Let's see if we can get this out. Buzz, buzz, buzz. There's a lot of chips in the paint. I got some paint sticks, so we may try that on. That might be good for that. Might make it look good and might shine enough too, to sort of match the finish the way it is. But this is a mess. It's freaking scratched up. So we'll see how that all goes. Alright, so we're going to go up to the headstock and do some cleaning up there and see how we get this stuff done. Actually. Okay, be back soon. Oh, let's flip it over and do the back side a little bit here too. These are a mess. Tuners are a mess. The headstock's a mess. But it seems... I'll show you the back. The back is a train wreck too. So we'll throw that cloth away. I ain't never using it again. And then I'll hit the rest of this with some alcohol to clean this up. Not alcohol, lighter fluid. Lighter fluid is always a good cleaner. We'll use this on the fretboard on the other side in a minute and see how that does. I left you all down there. Let's take a look up top. All right, now what we're going to do is check and make sure all the screws and stuff that are part of this thing are tight. First of all, we'll tighten the neck screws. Make sure they're all biting well, which they are. They're just a little bit loose, just a little tweak to make sure the neck stays tight and straight. That's pretty good. And this last one is a little looser than the other guys, but it's tight now. The guitar straps, holders. Do the headstock also. Next, we'll move up this direction and make sure all these little screws here that are in the tuners are tight. These guys, put the magic light on. They probably, although over time these things come a little loose, it's more important that the bushings are tight on the front side, and we'll check them when we flip it over. These are not too bad. They're loose, or they were loose until we just tightened them now. So what we'll do is flip the guitar over and look at the other side here on the headstock, and we'll tighten up these nuts. Piece here, and they're loose. So we'll tighten these up, and that'll help keep the guitar in pitch correctly. So we're doing a whole bunch of stuff here in the beginning. This is almost like prep work before we even get into putting strings on. And then we'll do a little bit of touch-up work on the paint afterwards and let it sit once we're done fooling around with it. So that's pretty much overall checking out how tight things are. There was some loose stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is address the bridge, I guess. So I got the new bridge pieces here that I got off of eBay for about 12 bucks. This bridge works a little different than a lot of them. It's just a single piece bridge. The strings go through and come back out. You can come over the top and run around. There isn't much setup for intonation or anything, so we'll just screw these guys back in. I think you can see that. But they'll be new and not all nicked up like the old ones. Here's the old ones that were in there. They're all kind of banged up a bit from where. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Where's up? We'll start out with them down fully low. There is some adjustment for string height off of these nuts. Not a hell of a lot. And the only adjustment for intonation is these guys here in the back. These Allens. That'll fit in here. But that's how the bridge goes on. So we got to load strings and get ready to see how this thing will tune up and how the neck works. Pretty good shape. I should take these knobs off, this knob off. I got some new ones. And if we're lucky, this will just slide underneath and pop right off. And this is how we can get these guys out without much trouble, I hope. And there wasn't much trouble. So that's the old knob. I got a couple of new ones. We got to open this one up just a little bit so that it'll accept the other knob. easily. So we'll get back. All right, so we spent a little bit of time cleaning this thing up. It shines up pretty well. It ain't too bad. I don't want to over clean it because I don't want to take the character, if you will, out of the guitar. But we got rid of all the grime and all the mess. The next thing we're going to do is put some, the more expensive one, have pearl inlays. These are not pearl inlays, but they're imitation stick-ons. So we'll try to dress it up a little bit with stickies. And I'll show you that in a minute, okay? All right, so now we're going to place some of these vinyl inlays on here. This is a little tricky, just to get them straight and to get them in between the frets. Just want to try to get it lined up as good as you can before you make it permanent. That looks pretty good. There. I'm going to try to get it dead straight. The straighter you get it, the better they look. There's one. Peel these things all three. And I'll look at the dog. All right. We did the inlays. I'm not sure if I like them or not. We'll see. They can always come off. But that's what it looks like finished. Now we got some black paint Sharpie to touch up some of the bad spots here where there's been some severe nicks. So at least it'll look a little bit more presentable. And that's what we're up to now. Okay, here we go. We're going to do a little touch up with some black paint and see how this goes. See if we can fill in those gaps so that they won't show too bad anymore. And then we'll do this other one that's going to be mostly underneath the bridge. See if we can fill that in. This is white paint on white, black Sharpie paint pen. Does a pretty good job for touch up. You can't do anything major with it, but just to touch up. Back and see what's there. There's a lot of stuff on the bottom here that needs a touch up, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to leave it alone. I think it adds a little character. We'll see how they feel. Done. See where the rubber hits the road. Next thing we're going to do is throw on a pair of strings. We're going to try the new bridge that we've got to replace here. That goes on simply like that and gets held in place by the pressure of the strings. And we'll restring now and see how that goes. So we're going to do these Diodario nickel wound 9 to 42 XL 120s, bright round wound. We'll see how they sound. See how they fit. It'll be up on the tippity top, up there, I believe. Right? Am I right or wrong? I hope I'm right. I'd hate to be wrong. So this can come off. And we're looking at the fat side of the nut. Actually, we could lay all the strings down while this is up and make it easier. Make life simple. Why not? What the heck? So I'll be right back. And then we'll show you the... All right. So I ran all the strings in down the other end here. Let me show you. What the heck? Might as well take the time. And that's how the strings, they go through that way and then loop over the top. The intonation is kind of built into this, so I guess they have done a calculation and figured out what the best intonation location is, and you either like it or lump it. So now we're going to come up the other end and place the first fat E string in and get wound up. See how this goes. So what I do generally is just give these a wrap a couple of times around from top to bottom and then poke the string through the hole. I know there's a million ways to do this, but I think this is about the easiest way I can do to get it in. We'll bring it through and pop it up. Then we'll get the winder, lay that in there, and tighten it up. We'll see what happens. This is the first time this guitar has probably had strings on it in years. I don't know where it's been, and I don't really know its history too much, but I do know you gotta line it up right. So already I can see the height is gonna be way too low, but well, maybe not. Maybe it ain't gonna be too bad. So we'll have to do a string height adjustment for one thing, fairly soon, because the bridge, with the bridge in this position, the strings are laying right against this, and they may just be too high. We may be able to lower it down and get away with it, or I may need to adjust the screws here and bring the whole string height up. We'll see. We'll take a look and see how that goes. So we'll go to the next string and do that one, and I'll string it all up, and we'll see where we are. Okay, so we checked the height of the frets. We got a little bit of buzz. We put the strings on, and it was buzzing like crazy. So what we've done is filed down the fret here. That's the treble one. How did I do with the piece? I put it right here. So we've got it in much better shape now. We're not getting the rocking action. A little bit on the back side. So we're going to file this side of the fret a little bit more, and then that should be pretty good. This other fret's a little bit high right in here, so we'll do that front edge of that, and then that should hopefully fix the fret problem. All right, so we're working with a fairly gross file. Take that down a little more. And then we're going to take this front end down a little bit here on this side. Hopefully get rid of the fret buzz. That's good. That one's still a train wreck. But the high one there is pretty good shape. Got to do a little bit more on this back side. And I think we're going to have to take this fret down a bit too. So let's take some more off the back here. Put a piece of tape over here. Just to protect the fingerboard a little. Fret too. See what that does. All right, that fret's good. This one's still high. So we'll see if we can take this down too. It's a little high still, but the other one is perfect now. So that's a good sign. So let's see if we can take this down a bit more. We also flattened the neck. Took finally got the truss rod, got into the truss rod, and found the right wrench for the truss rod. It's actually the weirdo one from Martin that works. But the truss rod is adjustable, which is good news always. Okay, let's not get crazy with that. looks good on this side. That back edge needs a little more. That's good. That's still high on the back side. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Now I'll take a fine file and just brazen up the edges a little bit. I don't have a crowner, so we're just going to have to live with what we got. Smooth this out just a little bit here on the edges. This feels pretty good. I don't know what else we could do. It's about as good as we're going to be able to get it without mucking the whole thing up. You put the strings back on and see how it tunes and what happens. The problem is I'm all the way down as far as I can on the back end here, so I don't have any more string height adjustment to go down. We can always come up. I adjusted the truss rod and flattened the neck to see if that would help take care of the problem. And like I said, we'll restring and see where the heck we are. Back in a minute. So what we're going to do now is just clean up the fretboard a little bit with some linseed oil. Good old-fashioned linseed oil. Just a little teeny weeny weeny inky dinky baby bit. Because a little of this goes a heck of a long way. We're just going to put this on and wipe it right off and make the wood better. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so here we are. Already we restrung. The neck is straight again, where it belongs. I tuned it to pitch. There's no more fret buzz. And it plays like a champion. Or it plays as good as an old guitar that's been down the road can do. So now what we got to do is just put everything back together. I'll set the pickup heights a little bit better. I think that's a little off down there. And we'll be done. But it looks pretty good. But I'll be back and show you the finish, and I'll play you some music. Okay, this is a completion video of the Epoch Baldwin Gibson guitar we have just finished bringing back to life. So what we did is we replaced the bridge that was non-existent and put that on. We picked up some new tuner knobs. We straightened the neck and got that right. We fixed the frets these two were both too high right here, the 3rd and the 4th fret. So we filed them down and got them in the right place. The electronics in the guitar were already working. The pickup heights are off. The string height is just a little high because it's as absolutely low as I can get it here. But it still plays fairly well. So it's in pretty good shape for what it came in as. We touched up some of the bad spots. I left some of the crummiest spots alone that are on the back here because I think it doesn't need to be done. But anyway, it's finished, it's cleaned up, and that's the story of the Epoch Baldwin. Whoever the other guys are, there's somebody else who was involved in making this. Gibson, that's the other guys. That's why it's got a lot of stuff that looks Gibson-y. But the electronics work, pickups works, good shape. Nice job. Even if I do say so myself. Humble as pie.